What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. That was the budget rig, and it was very beat up on that day. That's what all that jello was. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for coming. If you came over from Joshua's for the first time, welcome. Thanks for coming. Let's get it going. Let me move some stuff around here on the screens. That was a couple months ago when Joshua was in town. That is my favorite spot in all of Atlanta. And yeah, that's the budget rig. That's a $250-ish frame. There's a couple edits, finished edits here on the channel with that rig. The most recent one, I think, was is called Crashing at Steele's House with Pants On. He just put out a video called Without Pants On. I gotta go back and change the title of that video because now that it's not recent, that's a strange title for the video. In the chat, lots of fantastic, wonderful people. Big Taters, I don't know, I said big a second time. Big Taters, Tiago Ramos. They were just talking for a while, apparently. There, Alec Dvornik, Rick Zapata, Richard, Diddy FPV, RC Ritter FPV, Mike Bramillier, RC Ritter, Rob Axelson, GTX 1666 GB, Bubby FPV in the house. He's now blue because he's a famous fella. Geo Fairbanks, Richard Levitation FPV, Flying Ram, Frank Nicholas in the house, Alec Dvornik again, Trashbox. That's an interesting YouTube name. Trashbox is here. Seth Patton, Metal Dirtskin, Geo Fairbanks, Dan Richmond, GTX again, William Barlow. Doc, Fear for Fun FPV. All right, my mouth is still. This is week number 2 of mouth not cooperating with brain. I'm gonna. I usually call out more people than that, but it's just gonna be a complete shit show. What's up, fools? Thanks for coming. Let's see what's going on in the chat. See if we can get it. Sick of Life says wardrobe change. Yeah. So I streamed a little bit before Joshua Bardwell with my Patreon only daily stream kind of thing. I am streaming every single day. The live streams are public at the time of the stream, but then at the end of the stream, sometimes they will go to Patreon. My Patreon channel is $3 whole a month. That's 10 cents a day. I don't think that's unfair. If you want access to daily streams, there you go. Or you can just be all over YouTube, click buttons down here, and maybe YouTube will send you an email. Probably not, because their notification system sucks. Yeah, that's how it goes. CiottiFPV.com is the website that has links to everything that I've got going on to continue to try to do this full time. There's an Etsy store with a bunch of really cool stickers and some random hardware and whatnot. There's a Fiverr shop where I've got a bunch of gigs. I can help you fly better, help you tune better, help you build better, even help you edit your videos better. I've got the Patreon channel, of course, which has all kinds of fun stuff going on. And I'm willing to bet you that for $3 a month, it will pay for itself, in that I post up like daily deals sometimes, stuff that's on clearance that I think is really good quality. And just, you know, a lot of like, hey, buy this, don't buy this kind of stuff, right? How many times have you bought like a full $60, $70, $80 set of motors that turned out to be garbage, right? If you were maybe on the Patreon channel, you would have seen that those motors are no good. And that would have paid for itself for 2 years. So there you go. There's my pitch. All of you lovely people that have already been supporting me, you're too kind. And yeah, it's allowed something really cool to kind of go on here. Being able to do this 40 hours a week has allowed me to do some pretty cool stuff in the last 6 to 8 months since I got laid off at the beginning of the pandemic. So it's working. It needs to get a little bit bigger before it's like good to go forever. But man, we are close, and I'm excited to bring you guys along with me. Lots of lovely people tagging me in the chat. If you want to talk directly to me, the way that you're going to do that is by fixing my computer so that the keystrokes don't immediately break, which they just did. You're going to type CiottiFPV into the chat. You can put an @ in front of it, but you don't have to. If you type CiottiFPV, and if you spell it correctly, and if you don't put a space in between, I know it's hard. A lot of you fail at that. It's okay. Sometimes I'll see if you don't do it right, but typically I won't. If you do it right, though, it'll show up in orange like this. And I try really hard to answer every single one of those questions. If you want to guarantee that your question gets answered, you can do a super chat, or you can even, on the bottom of CiottiFPV.com is a link to a little PayPal me thing. Yeah, I won't miss any of those, that's for sure, but typically I don't miss any of these ones that are highlighted in orange. Speaking of, Dauntless said hey, Sick of Life, Doc, Rob Axelson, Mike Bamillier, Chris Croft said, all those people said hello and tagged me, and then Chris Croft said, YouTube stopped being stupid and setting me to 144p. That's a good thing, Chris, although my 13-year-old computer can barely output more than that, so it's not much of an improvement, but a little bit of improvement getting up to 720p. What else do we have here? Yeah, wardrobe change on my little impromptu pre-stream, Patreon-only pre-stream. I was wearing a different shirt. This is my volunteer shirt from Rampage from last year? No, 2 years ago. Me and a bunch of other awesome people volunteered at the event, ran flight lines. I helped out in the Fix-It area for a while. It was a blast. If it's safe, I will for sure be at Rampage this year. It was an incredible event. I've been dying for there to be another one. But I don't want to die going to another one. So yeah, I don't know. May, they're shooting for May. I'm already on the list of volunteers. I've actually been helping the new event organizers figure out what's going to go on, because there are a whole new set of event organizers this time, so they're kind of starting from scratch, which is a little bit scary, but there's a few of us that volunteered last time that are telling them every problem that we can remember. Unfortunately, it's been a while, but yeah, it should be better this year, but yeah, if it's not safe, I'm not going, even though I can drive there, because it is going to be at the same place as last time, which is like 4 hours from me, but yeah, I'm not invincible, and I don't want to die. So if it's not super safe, I won't be there. Sorry, guys. But I don't think that you should either. I hate to say that, but I don't want to see any of you people get sick or get anybody in your family sick. This virus is a real thing, and let's not just think that because it's a different year that it's gone away. Let's be vigilant, and let's just keep sucking it up so that at the end of this, we're missing as few people as possible. Cool? Rob Axelson said everything is better on fire without pants. Rick Cepeda says, I beg to differ, Rob. Rick Cepeda says, I need to order some new hardware. Should I get stainless, titanium, or both? Really good question, Rick. I tried titanium M3 hardware a while ago, and it didn't work out. It proved to be too brittle, and the button heads on them would strip out way too easily. Now that I have the just stupidly expensive, but admittedly better than any other Allen driver, the MIP, I have a set of the MIP drivers, arguably the best, like 28, arguably the best and most insane $28 or whatever the hell the 3 set of those costs, but they are better. They don't strip out the titanium hardware, and Pyrodrone just started selling titanium hardware that looks different. It looks a little bit more shiny than the previous titanium hardware that we had available to us from CiottiFPV and RDQ. So I broke out some of that old dull titanium hardware, and I bought some of the new Pyrodrone hardware, titanium hardware, and it's still too brittle. So I ran it in the inner and the outer arm locations. Most frames should have two on a 5-inch rig. They'll have like an inner and an outer armhole, and it's too brittle for the outer hole, and on the inner hole, the heads ended up stripping out. The button head ended up stripping out. So they still are an issue. Stripping them is still an issue. You could run them on your stack screws. If you really wanted to shave every possible gram, which I do, and I will be doing this moving forward, yeah, that's the spot to use titanium hardware, is on your stack mount, especially if you run 2 big or 4 screws up through the bottom base plate to make like a little tower that you drop everything down onto. Yeah, titanium would be great there, but really nowhere else. The arms have too much energy going through them, and then all the standoff bolts, I don't want them in there as well. So yeah, safest bet is just to get stainless everything, and away you go. But you can save a couple grams, a few grams. Well, let's see. It might not be worth it at all, come to think of it. I think it'll save you. I think it'll save just enough to be worth it. But I'm actually really curious right now. So I'm gonna use 20s, I think. Looks like I have 20s in both titanium and 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, so let's take 4 titanium 20s. Sorry you guys can't see this. I could do this over there so that you could see me, but just pretend that you can see a person putting screws down onto the top of a scale. It looks a lot like that. It's not super exciting. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the titanium is 2.3, and then the stainless is, wow, 2. Jeez. It's twice as heavy. It's almost twice as heavy. What did I say? 2.3? This is 4.1. Wow. Are those 20s? Yeah. I had no idea that it was that drastic of a weight difference. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's 2 grams for like $5 or whatever that the titanium hardware costs. That's the cheapest 2 grams you're ever gonna find on a build. I know 2 grams doesn't sound like enough, but it's in builds you can typically find 2 grams here, 2 grams here, 2 grams here, 3 grams here, 5 grams here, and then you're getting close to 20 grams, which you can easily feel a difference. So yeah, less than 1 gram, I start to go, might not be worth it. But 2 grams, like, yeah, if you can get 2 grams by spending money, yeah, do that. So, damn. I had no idea there was such a weight difference between stainless steel and titanium. I thought it was like 20%, 30%, maybe 40%. That's almost double. I'm going to... When I started breaking the titanium again a couple months ago, I said, screw this. I've learned this lesson twice now, never again. But I'm gonna go in a third time, and I'm gonna try a little bit harder now that I'm more motivated to find other spots where titanium works. The MIP drivers, like I said, are a lot better with it stripping out. The problem is, if you like I don't have a second set of those for in the field, so like if I have to crank something in the field, I'm gonna hurt it. I'll figure out a way. That's legit. That's a legit weight savings. And I'm gonna find somewhere else on these builds that doesn't need really strong hardware, where titanium is gonna work. Mark my words. Rick's talked about that one. Prince Drone says, I will work with my Cinewhoop 95X and apply your advice next week. Got to get it working. Sounds good, Prince Drone. I think we were talking on Instagram maybe. Let me know how it goes, and we'll keep the troubleshoot going. Mike says, what's a good sub 250 5-inch school bus style frame? It's B. Miller, LOL. Oh, is it? It's B. Miller. I was reading it in a more European maybe. It's B. Miller. Okay. I don't think there are any yet. I mean, I think the closest thing that we've got to that is the Glide light frame, but that's way too heavy. But yeah, it's just sub 250 5-inch is like a week old. You know what I mean? Like that's an absolutely brand new concept. So there hasn't been enough R&D to produce more than like 1 or 2 frames, and the frames that are going to be out there right now, I'm going to be awful suspicious of the light ones, at least, because how have they... It's going to be version 0.1, not version 1, right? Because it's so new. We just haven't had the time to get crash testing done. Tommy put up a video today, maybe yesterday, of his sub 255-inch build and doing actual crash testing with it. I'm just going to recommend that everybody wait for Tommy. Jumping into it too early is going to land you more than likely with a frame that's useless, that breaks a bunch of stuff in the process, whereas if you can wait maybe another month or however long it's going to take them, you can get something that's a little bit better thought out, that hopefully, well, not hopefully, but something that has a lot less of a chance of just turning to dust in the sky and losing you an entire rig, right? Because frame designs that don't have any thought behind them can cause all kinds of issues, namely mid-throttle oscillations. The arms on the frame and the base plate, and the way that whole system sort of interacts, will typically have a harmonic frequency to it, oftentimes multiple frequencies, and if they fall in the wrong spot, worst case scenario, the system can actually feed back into itself, and you can get like flyaways. You can even get them at like mid throttle, like at a certain throttle opening, it can just run away, and all kinds of weird stuff can happen. And yeah, you can lose hundreds of dollars in a whole rig and a bunch of your time. So yeah, I would just wait. I hate to have to say that, but you're waiting for a good cause, because Tommy's a great guy that makes really great products, and you're gonna get something gnarly out of it. So what I'm really looking forward to is the 4-inch version of his frame, and I'm also looking forward to the 4-inch arms for this QAVS Mini. I think this is going to be a really good 4-inch rig. I don't know if they're doing 5-inch arms for this. If they did 5-inch arms for this, it would probably be an okay choice. The center section of the frame is really nice. I'm really impressed with some of the things that were done here. This is a Ryan Harrell design, and I guessed that pretty quickly. And that's a good thing. Ryan is a very, very smart guy. He runs Mini Quad Test Bench, which is like the resource for motor and ESC testing. And yeah, he's a really smart guy that's been doing frame design for a while, and I've had really good luck with a bunch of his frames. So I'm really excited about this QAVS Mini. If you're interested in this is an FPV crate product. There is a link on CiottiFPV.com over to FPV Crate, which is an affiliate link. They are cool enough to not only let me in their affiliate program, but they send me over a box a month, and this came in that box. I do a little unboxing and a brief review, as one of the few, as one of the edited live, or not edited, product review live streams that I'm trying to do more of. So yeah, I'm really excited. This build is going to be 4-inch Brother Hobby 2004s 4S with a tarsier. This is a really cool frame for a tarsier. It's got 20x20 up here. It's got another 20x20 in the back. I don't know if I'm going to do a 20x20 stack in this. I'm tempted. It is set up to hold a Whoop or a toothpick AIO board, and I did just realize that I have an extra JHE MCU all-in-one board. So yeah, maybe I'll throw that in here and then put the tarsier stack in the back. And I don't know. I gotta wait for the 4-inch arms, so I'm not building this probably within the next couple weeks. So we'll figure it out. Ribby Tim with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, brother. Just got home from work just in time to actually watch the whole stream tonight. Happy Moongoat Monday, dude. Thanks, Daniel. You are the man. Much appreciated. You are one of my favorite moderators. I almost said you're my favorite moderator. I caught myself at the last second, and it just came out weird. Moving on. Awkward. Mason Storm says, Rumi, Tim, and I are friends from long before this live stream was ever a thing. Mason Storm says, how does Oh My God still have the RunCam Micro Eagle in stock? It's not just him. Ready Made RC. There's a couple spots you can get RunCam Micro Eagles from, which is a good thing, because the sensor in the Micro Eagle was a special kind of thing that we will probably never have that size sensor in an FPV cam ever again. It's one of the things that makes the Micro Eagle so unique. The image sensor is a little bit bigger, and that coupled with the great big M12 lens allows it to really work incredibly well both during the daytime and in low light. I really love them. My favorite thing, though, to be honest, about the Micro Eagles is that you can put the RC25G lens on it, which is just another lens from RunCam, and it gives you like 170 field of view in 4x3. And it's just I just love the field of view of that setup. Unfortunately, that lens is heavy, and that camera is also kind of big and heavy. And yeah, I have switched over to less field of view, but a much lighter camera setup in the Runcam Phoenix Nanos on most of my 5-inch rigs. Once this Moongoat is done, which will probably not happen tonight, in fairness, I'm just going to be honest. Once the Moongoat is done, though, my only remaining glide on a Micro Eagle is also broken. I broke this on that same day that you guys were just watching there, with a big old crash right to that arm. In that, so we're gonna move this to 15 millimeter standoffs. This will be the last glide to go to 15 mil standoffs, and it's gonna get shark bite. So stay tuned for that. This Moongoat will get done either today. It won't get done tonight. It'll get done tomorrow, maybe Wednesday at the latest. Let's say Thursday at the latest, because Wednesday's Whoop Wednesday. It'll get done, I promise. and then we'll go to shark bite land, and we'll see what's going on with shark bite. I just recently realized that Sharkbite is not going to use the Betaflight OSD in a similar way that DJI doesn't use the Betaflight OSD, and I am not happy about that. Yeah, that's been one of the things that's really kept me away from DJI, is that not being able to access the full OSD sucks. Unless they've gotten around that by now, but last time I heard they hadn't. And this is the same. It's a different OSD, and yeah. So I don't know, man. I want to fly in HD, but I don't want to lose all this other functionality. You know, can't have it all, I guess. Mason's. Oh, we got that. Rob Oxison says, "Get with Cyclone FPV. His soldering is on point." I know Cyclone FPV. He's a super cool dude. He was hanging out with us on the flow state filming when James was in town, and we were all hanging out at Cisco. Yeah, super cool dude. And yeah, he does great work. He's got the full like fancy setup. He's got the super cool hot air station and all that good stuff. Whenever I see him working, I'm like, oh, it's so cool. C Young 300, the $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. Thanks for the support. No comment, no question. Just one. Oh wait, no, there it is. I'm looking. It's below the super chat. I'm looking for my first Cinewhoop. I am looking at the iFlight ProTech 35 HD. Good first Cinewhoop. Sorry if you talked on this before. I have not. I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna have to look it up. iFlight ProTech 35 HD. Let's see what that is. Oh, that thing. They made the ducts octagons, and I'm really having a hard time with that. Like, if you're gonna make it a prop guard, make it a prop guard. If you're gonna make it a duct, make it a duct. Going somewhere in between strikes me as a really weird idea. I don't know. It doesn't seem like having an octagon on the outside of a round propeller is a great idea for aerodynamics. And most of these manufacturers have made it pretty obvious that they don't have any aerodynamicists that they work with in the past. So I don't know. My initial impression of this rig is that it's built to sell, not built to fly really well. I could totally be wrong because I haven't flown it, nor will I probably. But I don't know. I'm very skeptical of octagon ducts. All that being said, I've had an incredible experience with Kebab's Cinesplore. There's one of them up here, and then there's even another one now. that I just finished up building lately right here. It's not a hard build. Man, it's hard to talk somebody into doing a build versus buying something bind and fly. Chat, what other... If you're willing to do a build, C. Young, just do the Cinesplore. Do the FPV Cycle Cinesplore. It's... Every pro pilot that has flown this has gone, oh my god, this is the best flying Cinewhoop I've ever even like by a long margin. It's a lot lighter than most Cinewhoops, which I know is one of the things that they did with this ProTech 35, but not. Yeah, it's got ducts that are octagons. That can't be a good idea. Maybe it is, but it can't be. So yeah, if you're willing to do a build, I would go Cinesplore for sure. You can do a toothpick board, so you have an AIO board, and then you just have to solder up a VTX, a camera, and a receiver. It's like very straightforward. Well, I guess the motor wires too. That's the thing about AIO boards. They don't really make builds any easier, you know? Like, and what? Hey, chat. What bind and fly Cinewhoops are? Am I not thinking of that are probably better than this octagon ducted, confusing iFlight thing? I don't know. It looks cool. I have to admit. I would love to have that iFlight rig on the shelf, looking all cool, right, in the background of this stream. I'm so skeptical of the flight dynamics with octagons around the props. Alec Dvornik says, what motors do you recommend for the Beta 95X in pusher configuration? 95X is a 2.5-inch prop. My recommendation for 2.5-inch props is 1304s or 1404s. And then if you really want to make a bunch of power, you can go to like a 1306. No, you can't because, well, you could. Don't do that though. 1404 will have plenty of power, or 1304s. Either or are going to do really well with a 2.5-inch prop. Tommy likes the 1207 RCN power motor. For me, I want a little bit more stator width and not so much stator height. The 1207 is going to be good if you want to fly that rig faster, because the 7mm tall stator, as we've discussed a million times, gives you more throttle resolution at the top of the throttle. So yeah, 1404, 1304 if you want to do slower flying stuff with that, and this goes for all 2.5 prop rigs. Slower flying as it, so now and so that this goes for both freestyle and pusher, cinematic, whatever we want to call this. And so, like, for example, right, if you wanted to be able to fly that 95X inside buildings, I would definitely go 1404, 1304 for sure. Just because they're going to have more throttle resolution in the middle of the throttle throw, which is where you're going to spend most of your time inside of a building. You're probably going to be even lower in the throttle than that. Whereas outside, and then so the yeah, 1207 for outside stuff where you're leaning it up more, using more high throttle. And then if you kind of put that into freestyle terms without a prop duct to slow it down, right? We arrive at the same sort of place, right? 1404, 1304 for like normal freestyle stuff, and then 1207 for racing stuff where you're really pitching the thing forward. Yeah, just try to always keep your heads wrapped around that, guys, when you're shopping for motors, because with that like general understanding, when you're looking at motors, it becomes a lot less like, because there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of like, well, is this motor way too big or is this motor way too small? What you can do is, like, you can look at other people's builds. You can even look at the bind and flies to some extent. and just get an idea of like what sort of the right motor size is, right? So it's like, I remember when I was new, it's like, okay, I'm going from a 2.5 inch prop up to a 3 inch prop. Well, what the hell does that mean? Like, I'm on an 1106 now. Does that mean I should go to an 1107? Does that, I mean, back then those were kind of the only options. There were no 12 or 13 or 14 motors, but yeah, that's a way of starting to kind of figure out what the right, or what the appropriate, I guess is a better word, sized motor is for any given. Here's the real problem, right? It depends on the prop diameter. It depends on the prop weight, right? So like bi-blade versus tri-blade, completely different motors because the props weigh totally different. It also depends on the weight of the rig itself, the all-up weight. So it is genuinely hard to figure it out. But yeah, just keep some of the general concepts in your head of like taller stator versus wider stator, and it's going to allow you to kind of figure out these different like sweet spots for each type of build a little bit easier. Only took me 3 years. Not true. I had a really good feel for it after probably about a year, like first 6 months, just learning the hobby, learning all the super annoying technical stuff. And then after 6 months or so, I was able to start focusing on like, why does this thing fly so different when I change from 2 inch to 2.5 inch to 3 inch propellers, and just starting to wrap my head around motor sizes and KVs and prop sizes and prop weights and all that good stuff. So yeah, it doesn't take that long. Luckily, you guys have me to bounce questions off of, so hopefully I can shorten that time period up, so that you can more confidently go on a website and be like, I want to do this type of a build. I know this motor is going to be roughly the right one. Oh, here's a new one. Let's try that one out. Something like that. So there you go. Greg Womack says, how much is excess when wiring? Meaning, will excess wire cause video interference, lines, and throttle blur? Really good question, Greg. Yes, excess wire, absolutely. Like, almost no matter what, having excess wire just straight up gives more opportunity for electromagnetic interference. I think that's what's going on in there, right? To get to it. So, yeah. I also, wire is heavy. I will never forget when, way, like right after Quad Camp Atlanta shenanigans 2.5 years ago, which is when I met Tommy and we started talking. I'll never forget the day that he was talking about all up weight on a rig, to me. And he said, yeah, I'll be able to shave another like 5 or 10 grams. But he said, like, it's a really messy build, though. There's a ton of extra wire, so I got to go back in, and I'm going to be able to save 5 or 10 grams from just shortening the wires up. And I was like, whoa, what? Like, at that time, I was blown away that, like, anybody else did that. Like, I thought I was insane running just as short runs of wire as I possibly could. But B, I couldn't believe, and he was talking about a 5-inch rig. So at the time, I hadn't been building 5-inch rigs, so my brain was like melting out of my effing ears. But yeah, it was just crazy to hear at that point, at that time, that there was so much weight, and I've never forgotten that. I've always remembered wire's heavy, and we're flying things that go in the sky against gravity. So yeah, weight is super important. What I like to do, Greg, is basically, if the wire needs to go from here to here, I will measure it out from there to there, and then if this is the distance needed, I'll go like maybe, I don't know, 25%, let's say, extra. And then what I do, or maybe like a little bit more than that, and then what I'll do is I like to twist the wires up, and when you twist the wires up, it eats up some of that little bit of extra wire gap. And what you end up with is typically you can twist it more or less to shorten it more or less, so that you give yourself like the perfect run of wire where there's a little bit of slack in it, but it's not getting all over the damn place, getting close to the battery leads. The battery leads are the main source of electrical noise. So just keeping your video wires as far away from the battery leads as possible is the best thing you can do for video noise and analog. It'll be cool when digital is everything and we don't have to talk about this anymore. Because it's an annoying... It's annoying. Video noise is or it could just be coming from your ESC. There are ESCs that don't have enough capacitance. There are all-in-one boards that are just noisy. Video noise is 50% voodoo, 50% trying to keep your video wire the fuck away from the battery leads, in my experience. That's like the one big thing that I found to really help. Jason Crabtree says, what props for a rip squeak on Brother Hobby 1504.5? I am a fan of the Gemfan Wind Dancer 3028s, as you can't even use my other favorite, which is the Emax Avan 3-inch, because they designed it to only work on their motors. I don't think they did that on purpose, but they either did that on purpose or they inadvertently designed a propeller that doesn't work on most motors. It doesn't fit. That's what she said. And then also get some HQ 3x3x3s just to have. They're a little bit more durable than the Gem fans. They're not as good in any other way, and they're not even that much more durable, but just get them and just see how much you don't like them. It's cheap. Hopefully, if I get to do a propeller with Gemfan, it's going to be the propeller that I recommend, because right now we don't really have a super good 3-inch freestyle 200 gram all up weight propeller, in my opinion. There's a big hole in the market for that, and I'd like to fill it. There you go. There you go. Do with that as you may. KVFPV says, check your Instagram DMs. I sent you a Thingiverse link. I shall tonight, KV. Much appreciated for that. Alec Dvornik says, nope, we got that. YouTube did the thing, and I'm struggling to find my spot. Just found it. Nick Sebring says, love my 3-inch gecko. I wanted to build something smaller, a tad bit lighter, and without ducts. Next frame, check out the BQE Ripsqueak Micro. I think you'll like it even more. But I have heard people that plenty of people that like that 3-inch gecko. A lot of times those people will message me later, hey, the arm broke just like you said it would. At which point, I know you'll have the warranty, but while you're waiting the month or whatever it takes for the warranty repair to get, or the warranty to get figured out, spend a couple bucks on a BQE Ripsqueak Micro, and you'll have something that you can just swap the arm out for a couple bucks. I don't know. I'm not a. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but the Armatan warranty is not. I just don't get it. I don't want to wait that long for a replacement. I also don't want the base plate to break because it's a lot of work. A removable arm that costs $2 or $3 or $4 or $5, and a frame that costs $30 versus 80 or 90 or 100 or whatever. Yeah, you got to break an awful lot of arms to make up that price difference. And the amount of time that I'm going to save swapping arms versus swapping base plates, I mean, you kind of couldn't pay me to fly a Armatan frame at this point. No offense to any of you guys that are, but take this as like, hey, next frame. You didn't know, and that's not your fault, and it's all good. But yeah, removable arms. Big thumbs up in my opinion. Chris Croft changed to 720p and it worked fine. Yeah, that's what I output in. WA asks, have you ever lost a quad on one of those buildings? Only once. I was up in New Jersey visiting my parents 3 years ago. Well, wait, here, you want to see? It was Christmas. of 28, 2018, yeah. Well, my computer doesn't work, so I guess I can't show you because it's 13 years old and has just decided that it's working now. It was this building and it was this rig. I lost the... Oh, no, I didn't. That's right, I still have the video. I have the whole video. That's right. I even have... Why would you go onto that monitor? I even have the video of it upside down on the roof for... What is going on? What is nothing ever gonna work ever again? Up on the roof for 8 minutes, and then 8 minutes, and then 8 minutes. Why did it only record in 8-minute chunks? That's weird. Here was the crash. I haven't watched this in a long time. This is gonna hurt my soul. The crash is in this battery, I believe. Yep. Sure is. Come on. Let's just take it all in. How did that happen for? I actually don't remember. This is so long ago. I don't remember when it's gonna be. It's gonna catch me by surprise too. This is in Trenton, New Jersey. Wow, look at all that P gain I had in that tune. Jesus. Yeah, you can hear it. I can hear the... There it is. There it was. Yeah, I just got disoriented. And I guess I didn't get disoriented. I guess I thought I was gonna make it. I thought that I was going to make it off the side of the building, or over the edge, and I almost did. I came really close to making it. But yeah, it sat on that rooftop. Yeah, see, so I came over, and now I'm off the throttle. But see, this is the problem, and I could just hear it. I stayed on the throttle for too long. That's actually something that I learned after this, is like when we have a tendency to, so when you jump off the throttle, right, the quads will wiggle. It has to do with the backflow, like you're accelerating, and then when you jump off the throttle, it basically stops the propellers, and the air goes from being driven to coming back up the propeller, and it's really hard for it not to have at least a little bit of a bobble. Betaflight 4.3 actually is going to have the most chance of eliminating that we've ever had, because anti-gravity, which activates when you quickly raise or quickly lower the throttle, anti-gravity is unique to Betaflight too. Betaflight is the only flight firmware that has anything, to my knowledge. Emu Flight people, check me on that. It's the only flight software that has anything to fix this issue. It's actually a double issue. The anti-gravity started to fix arm drops. If you have an ESC that's on its way, if you have an ESC channel, like let's say the right front ESC channel is on its way out, or if the right front motor is a little bit more banged up, when you jam the throttle and all four motors have to go, from like normal to chaos very quickly. Without anti-gravity, what can happen is an arm will drop. What anti-gravity... So one of the ways to fix that is to crank P gain or crank I gain up. Well, if you just do that, there are other unintended problems that happen, right? This is one of the reasons why I'm so hell-bent on Betaflight, is that they're the only flight firmware that has really targeted specific flight problems with these individual things: feed forward, I-term relax, anti-gravity, all these things that we talk about. are targeting these specific problems. And previous to that, and this was my experience going to Flight 1 and KISS after being on Betaflight for so long, I realized how incredibly spoiled I was coming from Betaflight, having all of these individual things to take care of these problems. Because when I was on KISS and I banged up one of the motors and it started to arm dip, I couldn't fix it. I had to replace the motor. When I had with Flight 1, when I had bounce back issues, I couldn't just change the iTerm relax setting. I had to try to fix it in the PID tune, and that affects everything else, right? So like, I really love Betaflight's ability to give us a bunch of specific features to fix flight problems that are independent from the PID loop, so that we can use the PID loop to tune the way that the rig flies. We do still have to use the PID tune to kill some of the error and some of the bad behaviors, but much less so than all the other flight firmware. And that's really, like, for me, that's the biggest thing. And that's, in my opinion, that's what makes, like, so I've talked before, I even talked in that Joshua Bardwell interview, how, like, it's about the footage for me. It's less about the flight feel, and it's more about the footage looking amazing. And when you have each one of these individual things specifically designed to fix these problems, go figure, the flight footage looks better, right? Because these problems are what, in my opinion, makes flight footage look bad. A wiggle, an arm drop, when you jump off the throttle, a bobble. So going back to, man, I almost forgot where we came from. Going back to the throttle chop bobble, Betaflight 4.3 is introducing P-gain into anti-gravity. So anti-gravity will boost both I-gain, which it has previously, as well as P-gain, which should get that bobble out. Which will do a better job than previously of getting that bobble out. Coming back to this crash, Jesus, I didn't go totally off the rails though. Coming back to this crash, what happened was, when I was on the throttle to throw myself up over the building, I started a right roll, it looks like, which is why you can see the lights doing this. I started a right roll, and what I could hear is I didn't chop the throttle quick enough. And by not chopping the throttle quick enough, I'm going up the side of the building. All I want is this momentum. I start the roll with the throttle on, and that is what pulled me down more than likely, and caused me to hit the front edge of the building. This is all a very long way to say that I've now learned that when you if you're gonna do a move and throw like a rotation in at the end of that move, be cognizant of what you do with the throttle, because in this case, if I'd been quicker to jump off the throttle, I might not have hit the building. Alternatively, there are situations where you can do cool stuff by not jumping off the throttle. If, like, for some reason I wanted to stall that move out, and I've got all this forward momentum, right, looking all cool, looking next to the building, if for some reason I wanted to stall the move out in front of the building and just drop down the front of the face, what I could do is leave the throttle on, kind of similar to what I did, leave the throttle on as I threw that roll, and now I would have full throttle in this direction, and that would arrest and let me potentially fall down the front of the building, right? It's just, it's a little thing that I noticed after a long time when flying, that there's a little bit of subtlety there to how quickly you chop the throttle when you throw in that big burst. If you're the kind of person that does that, if you do a lot of those moves where you go full throttle, throw the rig up, and smash the right stick, right? That's a fairly common thing that we all do because it looks amazing. Pay attention to how quickly or how slowly you jump off the throttle, and you'll start to notice, like, you wouldn't think that it would make such a big deal, but it does. You can leave the throttle on for just a split second into that blip that you're doing on the right stick, and it'll really affect the trajectory, I guess, yeah, of the quad. So there you go, some free flying advice that you didn't even ask for. That's the kind of stuff that I want to talk about with the Fiverr gig for flight instruction, and this is the kind of stuff that I want to work on with people in the simulator, and it's the whole thought process behind the FPVinstructor.com, which is a domain that I own that I will hopefully someday do something with. Yeah, this is more like, this is my passion, is like the flying side of FPV. Just like in motorsports, I realized after a bunch of years that I love to instruct and help people go faster. Yeah, I don't know. Now you guys know a little bit something more about me. This rig sat on that rooftop for like 2.5 days. I went to the building people and I asked them to go and get it. They went up, they said they couldn't find it. And then I started driving back. I called my parents to tell them that. And my wonderful mother, I'm an only child, super overprotective, amazing mother. She's like, oh no, he fucking marches down there, drives down there, but she marches right on down there and gives them the teary-eyed treatment, and they went up there and found it, and she shipped it. Or no, she didn't ship it back. They were coming down to visit me in their RV a couple months later, and they brought it down. So I've never actually lost one. I've also had ones in a tree in here, Atlanta, the following Christmas, actually. Wow, I lose rigs every Christmas. Yeah. Not this Christmas, though, because I haven't flown in like 3 months now. Yeah, the previous 2 Christmases, I've lost rigs on both occasions. Not last year, the year before. Well, it's the edit that I just put up of that crazy mirrored building. And in the end of the edit, you'll see the rig get stuck up in a tree and shoot smoke out of one of the motors from too much total moting. I am now an hour behind on the chat. Perfect. That's how it works around here if it's your first time. I talk too much about individual questions, and then lots of other awesome questions come in, but I'm still talking about the original question from 10 after 10. So now I'm going to try to go as fast as I can through the chat, which usually means I'll get to about the third question and then talk for another half an hour about it. So ready? Here we go. BamFPV says, got a beta 95X V2. What are your thoughts on this quad, and what are some good PIDs I should retune some good PIDs I should retune in prop wash is crazy. 95X V2, the one that I flew was actually totally fine. I'm concerned that you're saying the prop wash is crazy, because it shouldn't be. Grayson Hobby had me out to review that rig, and a bunch of my flying is in their review, so if you don't believe me, you can check it out. Yeah, it was not prop washy at all. PIDs are not I can't just give you PIDs that are going to work. They're very specific to you as a pilot and the way that you fly, as well as the rig itself. I'm even more hesitant because of the fact that I flew a stone stock one and it didn't have crazy prop wash, right? Like, I'm concerned that something is essentially wrong. Have you crashed that rig? Like, is there a chance that you banged one of the motors up and the motor bell is bent? The way to check that is to take the propellers off, and this is kind of like a prerequisite to any any troubleshooting. You take the propellers off, you plug it into Betaflight, you put a battery on it, and you go to the motors tab of Betaflight and you spin each motor up and down individually. And what you're listening for is whether or not one of the motors is more noisy or more vibey than the others. So BamFPV, go do that. That's sort of the only reason I can think of that rig should have crazy prop wash. Again, since I flew essentially exactly what you've got there, right? Because I flew one that was just right out of the box, and it wasn't that bad. Although I did end up tuning that for them. That's right. They said that they were going to invite me back out to do another video on tuning it, and I haven't heard from them. All right, check this. Do that. Make sure the motors are clean. But then add 10 points of P gain, add 10 points of D max. I'm sorry. First, take it, fly it, fly it hard-ish, and then land it and touch the motors. If you can't grab the motor like this and keep your fingers on it for 5 seconds without going, then don't do what I'm about to tell you to do. If you can, if the motors are just warm, or preferably if they're cold, add 10 points of P gain to all 3 axes, add 10 points of D max to the pitch and roll, since we don't use it on yaw, and then add 5 points of D min. And then fly it again, see if it's better, check the motor heat again, and if the motors still aren't hot and if it's still not good enough, do that again. And you might even be able to do that a 3rd time. But just monitor the motor heat very, very carefully when you're doing that process, and if you blow something up, it's on you. Pushing the PID loop like this is going outside of the intended parameters. I'm telling you right now, something could happen. If you keep an eye on the motor heat, and if you don't hear any weird, crazy oscillations, if you don't hear any like trilling, like from the motors, typically nothing will blow up, but it could. So you've been warned. You'll be fine. If you're not, it's not my fault. Totally my fault. But I warned you at least. Rob Axelson says, gotta work in the morning, stay safe, burn a battery for me. He's out of here. He's already sleeping by now because he posted that an hour ago. KVFPV reminded me about Instagram. Good to go. Alex. Oh, wait, no, I'm just reading the chat a second time. Free Range Chicken says that he uses my name in every order. Thank you, brother. Yeah, it's one of the things that you guys can do if you'd like. When you're doing an order on a store and if you can't think of anything else to put in the notes field. Because everybody does read. I can tell you, as somebody that's worked in retail for a long, long, long time, those get read. Yeah, the notes fields in your orders, like, always write something. Just write anything, right? Like, I hope you have an awesome day. You guys are great. Or you're doing a great job. Or don't kill yourself. Just write something. Or write your YouTube channel name and say, hey, check out cyoung300 on Instagram or whatever. Yeah, just write something. Write something cool. If you want, write CiottiFPV sent me. And then when a bunch of these resellers see my name a bunch of times, maybe they'll go, hey, we're going to send this guy some free stuff. And then when I get free stuff from these manufacturers, I give it away to you guys. So you'll only be helping yourself. So maybe do that. You don't have to do that. Do whatever you want. But if you do it, maybe you'll get more stuff in the giveaways. Maybe not. Big Tater says, how long does it take to get a frame from FPV Crate? Should just be normal shipping time. Oh, YouTube did the thing. Oh, but I know I was at like 10 minutes after 10. Oh, yeah, I should look at the time codes in the chat more often, because then when YouTube does the thing, I'll know roughly where I was. Oh my god, that makes it so much easier to find where I was. I'm figuring out this streaming thing, guys. It's only been a year. I'm still learning, okay? Every I get a little bit better every time. You know this. William Barlow says, what do you think of the Ovonic 4S 1550s? William, you managed to ask about one of the only 2 Ovonic batteries that I've ever flown. I think that they're heavy as hell, but the performance is great, and they're cheap. So thumbs up from me. That's kind of how it goes. If you're gonna, if a battery is gonna be cheap, it's either gonna be, okay, cheap, heavy. I guess it doesn't work like that. Cheap versus expensive, heavy versus light, durable versus not durable. Pick 2. Right? Yeah. Well, pick. I think you know what I'm saying, right? 2 of those things are going to be good, and one of them is always going to be bad. It's just the way it is. If it's lightweight and cheap, it's not going to be durable. If it's heavy and cheap, it's going to be. It's not always going to be durable, but there's a good chance it'll be durable. If it's expensive and lightweight, it's not going to be durable. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's just how it works. Every single battery I have ever flown falls under that little general rule. I mean, you could sort of apply that general rule to everything. What's in the graphic design world? What is it? It's pick two: cheap, fast, good. Right? Yeah, cheap, fast, and good. Pick two. Although that covers most things in the universe, but yeah, specifically in the design world, that's like an inside joke. Cheap, fast, good. Pick two. Nick Sebring says, I thought you gave away the Moongoat. I want one. Nick, I gave away the Moongoat that Super Deluxe sent because Super Deluxe is a super cool guy, and you guys should all go sub to him. And I bought this one from... Wait, no, Tommy sent me this one. Tommy sent me this one to build. No, Tommy sent me one to give away. I bought one to build. And then, because I gave away two. I think I gave away 2 Moongoats. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought this one. I don't know. I don't remember anything. I don't think I bought this one. I think I gave one away. And I think Tommy sent me one. No, I did buy one. I gave 2 away. Tommy sent me one to give away, and Super Deluxe sent one to give away. That's what it was. Super Deluxe also sent a Remix V2. That's what I'm getting confused with. Moving on. Chris Croft says, SB is using MSP, same as DJI. I'm told by Express LRS devs they should use DisplayPort and BF to get full OSD. Talk to FS. Are you trying to get them to change it? Kristen always comments on how insane the acronyms are in this hobby. And I started to see a bunch of acronyms, so I just went with it. Now I'm going to actually read the comment because I'm interested in it. Although I'm struggling with the acronyms. I don't know what SB is using MSP. I know what that is. Same as D... Oh, okay, so I think we're talking about OSD. Still don't know what SB is. Using MSP, same as... Oh, Shark Bite. Okay, so SB is for Shark Bite. Using MSP, same as DJI. That's why the OSDs look the same. Okay. I'm told by Express LRS devs, I don't need to know what LRS means, they should use DisplayPort in Betaflight, and then they can get the full OSD. Okay, so it sounds like Betaflight is the problem. Some guys we know and talk to Fat Shark are trying to get them to change it. Okay, cool. I had a funny feeling that Fat Shark would have a lot better of a chance at integrating the full Betaflight OSD than DJI, but from what you're saying, Chris, it sounds like once Betaflight hopefully changes it, that they'll both be able to do it. Which I was thinking that might be one of the things to kind of save Fat Shark and Shark Bite. Not save Fat Shark, right? Well, save Fat Shark. I guess we can say that, right? It's hard, man. DJI is a lot better. They're a lot farther ahead, man. They're a lot farther ahead. I mean, I'm gonna be as... I love Fat Shark as a company, man. I really do. I really, really do. And every review that I've seen of Shark Bite has me going into it like, oh my god, what am I gonna say good about this? So I'm gonna be as positive as I can because I love Fat Shark, but I'm also not gonna lie to you guys. I mean, you know how I usually am with the reviews, but yeah, I thought that might be something that would interesting. Frank says Shenzhen Squirt V2. I have 2 Nerc squares by them. Can you buy those? I guess, yeah. I guess Rotor Riot sells them pre-built. Squirt's kind of heavy, though. And it's like Gen 1 of the frame design. I think it's also even a solid base plate, too. Yeah, I don't know. Tiago says Squirt V2 Nurk lives from cinematics. It's one of his go-to drones. Yeah, yeah, and there are people building Squirt V2s. Yeah, I get fair enough. Squirt V2. I mean, it's people are using it. I don't think it's going to be the best, but it's certainly not the worst, right? It's good enough for people that are doing cinematic work. And hell, maybe it is the best. Maybe it is the best one. It's I don't think there is a best. I think there's different for different needs. Frank says ducts don't help performance unless there is 1 millimeter or less clearance between props/ducts. Otherwise, they only offer protection, and an octagon shouldn't matter. So the big thing that I think ducts do, and for the flight characteristics of these rigs, is slow them down. Like my interest in ducts is more to slow them down than anything else. And like so for me, like if it's gonna have anything around the propeller, right? I think it should be a duct, like unless we're forced to, right? Like if we're forced to, although I don't know, the prop guard, it's I just can't picture there. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, so I'm just gonna move on. Octagon ducts are probably fine, unless somebody that knows their ass from their elbow says so. There's no way to tell. So I don't know. iFlight octagon quads are probably good. RiseXR CFPV says, I love to buy bind and flies and then build on them bigger, better, badder than it was. See, and I like that too. I love that idea, RiseX. And like, maybe it's just because I come from cars where you have to do that, right? Like you have to pick a platform and then build on that platform. I really like that idea. And now that they're putting decent components in these bind and flies, like it's even more of an argument to do that. I guess the flip side of which being, if you already know in a bind and flight that you're going to swap bind and fly that you're going to swap the motors out, it's like, why the hell would I, right? Like why would I spend the money on those existing motors that are already there? The argument, I guess, being, well, you save a bunch of time and money not having to build the damn thing. I don't know. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think if you're hell-bent on like being super picky on each individual component, then you're not going to buy a bind and fly anyway. So I feel like maybe the decision kind of makes itself, and we should just like trust our gut. My first rig was a bind and fly, and then I just so here's the, I guess I bought a Baby Hawk way back when, my first rig, bind and fly, and then I changed the propellers, and then I changed the frame, and I changed the camera, and then I changed the motors, and then I did stick with the ESCs and the flight controller, but I blew so many of them up that I ended up having extras. And then I had an entire stock Baby Hawk worth of parts, and then the rig that I was flying. And it was just like, oh. So like, I think maybe if you are the type of, I don't know what the right answer is, but maybe just going into it knowing that might happen would make you feel better. But I feel like an idiot. I was like, what? But buying the bind and flight as a first rig for me was a really good idea because it showed me how everything was wired, and there were all these, I could take pictures of stuff, and it just made the experience a lot easier for me. Once you're at the point where you're building them from scratch anyway, I guess the main thing is the amount of time that you save from doing the build. A company that builds the same thing over and over again is going to get good at it, in theory. The wire runs are going to be short and tight. The solder joints are going to be clean. So you might get, and it takes a long time. This Moongoat, most scratch builds are going to take 6 to 8 hours when you really factor in all the time of planning it, buying all the stuff, researching it, right, and then putting it all together and smashing it into brick. Toxic FPV says Happy Model just dropped a Cinewoop build kit called the Cine 8. Happy Model Cine 8. I feel like I might be getting sick. Again. Or I've just been talking a lot. Probably just been talking a lot. Happy Model Cine 8. Brushless Cinewoop kit. 85 millimeters. I'm okay with that. It's a 85 is basically a 2-inch prop. What's with the octagon thing? Why is everybody doing these sharp edges? Sharp edges are gonna hit sooner than they need to. Round the edges off, guys. What do you? Not a bad looking little rig though. I love that this is foam around the outside. I love that that's being done now. Interesting that it's that they're targeting the Insta360 Go. I had a feeling that would happen. They've got 1202.5 motors. I would love to see a 1204 instead, but if it's not a notchy motor, I don't give a shit. If it's a not notchy 1202.5, thumbs up for me. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell that from here. Yeah, looks all right. I'm intrigued. Oh, wait a second though. Is the whole frame 3D printed TPU? Oh, what? All right, I'm not into it anymore. That's gonna be ooh, yeah, okay, yeah, 98.7 grams. I think that's a bit much, isn't it? Hold on, let's I have an 85. Let's see what this thing weighs. This is an 85, right? Yeah, 2-inch propellers. What's this guy weigh? I usually don't like to see all that TPU like that because it's just sort of needlessly heavy, but I know this thing is sort of a porker now. See, 79.80, call it 80 grams. Yeah, so there's a 20 gram weight difference. That's, oh! That's got the Insta360 Go in it, though. Okay, so there is, wow. I'm shocked that there's not more of a weight difference. Why the hell is there not more of a weight difference? Definitely because of the motors. This is on 1204s. That's on 1202.5. That's going to make a big difference. 98.1. Yeah, so they weigh exactly the same with the Insta360 Go on board. So they've got a little carbon frame. I'm comparing it to a... God damn it, OBS. There we go. I'm comparing it to a Beta 85X pusher setup. Well, I like that it's not a pusher. I think I'm over the pusher thing. I really don't like the idea now that I've kind of wrapped my head around the high pressure and low pressure zones. I really don't think I'm into this pusher thing anymore. I don't think it makes sense to have all this garbage up above the propeller in the low pressure zone. I would rather have it below, like this Happy Model rig. So yeah, I like that it's a standard motor below prop design. Man, that is a lot of 3D printed TPU. It's got a VTX in the back there. I am so shocked at how light that is. I kind of don't believe it. But I mean, that would be kind of brave if they were lying about the weight. All right, I don't know. I'm not mad at it. I'll wait for Nick Burns to review it, though, if I'm totally honest. I'm not going to dive into it. There's some thoughts. Maybe that helps. I don't trust it because I just don't like to see so much 3D printed material, but maybe it's great. I'll wait for a review, though. I don't know. Carlos revived 2 out of 5 of his batteries. 2 is better than none. Man, you lost 3. That sucks, dude. That's a hard lesson learned, but a lesson learned nonetheless, I guess. C Young 300 says, "Can you post a link to that frame you suggested? I love the build, man." Oh God, C Young, I don't remember what we were talking about. This is the other problem with me being so far behind on chat. I am now. I'm only 50 minutes behind. That's not bad. T-Bird C Young, tag me again and tell me which frame you want to link to, and I'll hook you up. Although most frame, if it was the Glide frame, link in the description. If it's the Ripsqueak Micro, just go to Google and type in BQE Ripsqueak. Hey, mods, drop a link for me if you don't mind to the Ripsqueak Micro. T-Bird has 1206s on a Beta 95X, great all around. It's a 9mm motor mount. I think I said 1208 before. I think I meant to say 1206. T-Bird, do you have the same motor that Oh My God puts on his? I think you do, right? Odysseus Prime is trying to go 6S. He's on 4S currently, 4-in-1 60 amp ESC, claims to be 6S capable. You think I can just change out my 2550 motors for lower KV? Odysseus Prime, don't even 2550 is a lot. To get started, get yourself onto Betaflight 4.2. That's going to make it easier for you to access the motor limiting in Betaflight. In the PID tab, on the below the PID values, there's a motor output limit, which is set to 100% by default. You can also get to that in the OSD. So this is what I would do. I would find it in the OSD. It's called it's going to be abbreviated, but you'll find it. It's like MTR OUT. I think it's in the features menu. Just go into your OSD and just poke around. You'll find it. You're going to buy a 6S battery or 2. I recommend the Tattoo R-Line version 1. There's a link down below. 6S 1050. It's a 170 gram battery. It's $30. It's the best performing battery for the cheapest that I've found. There are $20 batteries, but they are both heavier and don't perform as well. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bring your 4S back. It's not going to be a fair fight because your 4S batteries have been flown and the 6S batteries are going to be fresh, but just stick with me. You're going to go out at 100% motor output limit, and you're going to fly a 4S battery or 2 to get your heads locked in. And then I'm going to do the math for you. So 2550... so 2550 times, what's the math? Times 0.75, right? No, it's not 0.75, it's 0.66? 1683 times 1.5 is 2524. So that's close enough. We're close enough. So you're then going to hook up the 6S battery, but you're going to go into the OSD and you're going to throttle scale down to 65%. And you're going to motor scale down in the OSD to 65%. And that's going to scale those 6S's down to be roughly the same total RPM as your 4S setup. And then you're going to fly it and see if you can tell a difference. I don't think you're going to be able to tell a difference. If you can't tell, I think it's only going to be a good difference because you're going to get the benefits of 6S and fresh batteries. If you don't like it, motor scaled down, then buy lower KV motors. If you can't tell a difference, just keep flying. There are some people that say that when you get the motor limiting down below like 70%, that they can feel a difference, and it doesn't feel right to them. I can't. I'm an okay pilot. I don't think you're going to be able to feel a difference. And I just saved you potentially $100, depending on if you buy $25 per motors. CiottiFPV.com. Links to Patreon, $3 a month. Shill. Yeah, do that. And I think you're going to dig it. And then when you do dig it, what'll be really cool for you is that, like, if you decide, I think I want a little bit more power than this, you can just go into your OSD or go into Betaflight and turn the motor output limiting up a little bit, and you'll have a little bit more power. You won't have to get different motors that are higher kV. You won't have to change to a higher pitch propeller. You won't have to do any of these other bullshit, annoying ass things. Use motor limiting, boys and girls. It's the future. It's not the future, but it's fun to say. Tiago says Joshua made some reviews. I'm not going to click that link because it'll kill the chat. I'm going to right-click the link, and I'm going to hit copy. And then it's going to be the wrong link. It doesn't work. Oh, wait. No. Oh, that's right. On this. Oh, God. What was that about? Oh, God. Hopefully my audio is not doing that. I'm looking at the volume meter, and it looks like it's okay. I hope my audio hasn't been doing that for the last hour like it has in previous streams. Moblade says, do we believe in extra weight of TPU for landing gear to save bottom bolts? Nope, Moblades. This is what I do. I thought I had one with an arm's reach, but I didn't. I do foam fetuses, and then I zip tie them down, and that does a damn good job protecting the bottom bolts. The other thing I do, though, is I run socket-headed bolts so that there's just more material. Because if you smack this down good and hard, it does, like, my arm bolts are banged up. But the foam does a shockingly decent job, and it doesn't weigh anything. And you use you double use the zip tie to both hold the foam on and hold your motor wires down. So you get double benefit from the weight or whatever. Yeah, the TPU arm guard. I do run. I run TPU on the ends of the arms. Oh, come on, OBS, man. I do run TPU on the ends of the arms here because I fly really low to the ground a lot, as you can see by how scraped up these are. And I just obliterate the carbon on the ends of the arms in like 20 batteries from just dragging the arms on the ground at 60, 70 miles an hour. So I run the TPU here just so that I don't ruin the ends of the arms as quickly. I really don't like. I would really prefer to not run it because it does really affect performance. If you add 1 gram to the end of your arm, you will probably feel a difference. I can easily feel a difference adding 1 gram to the end of each arm. It's very obvious because the ends of the arms move a lot when the quad moves around in the sky. So yeah, try to I do everything I possibly can to remove weight from the ends of the arms, all the way up to running 3 motor screws instead of 4. I've tried 2, and it blows up stator bases if you hit it just right. Running 3, you can run the 3 that are on the outside, which take all the abuse, and you can leave the one that's on the inside. If you only run 2, then there's a direction that you can hit the motor to just peel the fucking stator base up off of there. Peyton Kelsey says, if you're not under the DJI NDA, could you share your thoughts on what is yet to come? Is the 2.4 on the V2 goggles just for the new transmitter, or are we getting 2.4, 5.8 air units? Peyton, I have no clue, to be honest. Since I'm not on DJI yet, I just don't. When I hear things about DJI, it just kind of like, it just bounces right off. It doesn't sink in because I just don't care about it yet. Which I know sucks for those of you that are on DJI, but I don't know. I'm just a very focused guy. Like the reason why I can get good at things is because I have this tendency to just like really just stare right at them and just hammer the shit out of like very specific stuff. So yeah, I just have not to mention that I just have absolutely no idea. The NDAs are serious enough that nobody really tells me anything, which is totally fine. I kind of don't want to know because I don't want to be the asshole that, even if I'm not under NDA, I don't want to be the guy that lets something slip and gets somebody else in trouble or just gets blackballed forever or whatever. So, but the honest to God truth is I just have absolutely no idea. I I had no idea that there was this 2.4, 5.8 thing. I just learned something about DJI in your question. So sorry, it's just not. Someday I'll get there. Someday I'll get on DJI. I really look forward to it. Hopefully they have a full OSD by then. But I got more work to do to be able to afford DJI. So I'm going to keep at it. Johnny J says, noise reduction, HPFM, hocus pocus fucking magic. He also says, what do you think of the 3-inch folding props? The folding props are really cool for if you're going to fly around trees a lot, because when you go crashing through Scraggle, they fold out of the way. And then when you're flying around trees a lot, typically you're crashing on nice soft grass. If you're flying over concrete, the folding props are horrible because every single time you crash up like this or more vertical than that, the props fold out of the way and the motor bell is the first thing to smash into the concrete and just burst into flames. So yeah, if you're going to only fly over grass and if there's going to be trees, hell yeah on the folding props. I haven't actually flown the 3-inch folding props yet because we don't really have many spots like that here in Atlanta. That's not true. There are plenty of spots like that. I just don't fly them. So I don't actually know how they are, but they're DAL, I think, right? And DAL has a really good reputation with propellers being properly balanced. They don't have a great reputation with durability. The plastic that they use is kind of bendy. It's a really interesting plastic, but I think it's a little too bendy for our usage. But other than that, DAL props are classically really, really good. I flew DAL 5040s for like my first over a year on 5-inch, so, and they were just phenomenal. Nick Sebring says, I've been flying the Gecko for over a year now with no broken arms. Very cool. Perfect example. Sometimes rigs are, some people don't crash as hard as others or on as violent of surfaces, right? Concrete is a hell of a widowmaker to these quads. So yeah, for some folks, frames that I think aren't great are great, which is why, yeah, there's no such thing as best. There's just different strokes for different folks. Carlos Patros says, what do you think of an Acrobat Duo with a full-size AU 1300 mAh 4S GoPro Hero 9 with no batteries? Carlos, I think you're going to really struggle to get that big of a battery on top of the Acrobat. It's also going to be kind of creepy that the Acrobat only has that one thin battery strap around such a big heavy battery. Like basically if you crash that rig, it's going to throw that battery every time, I think. which, I mean, that's a real concern. Like don't take that lightly. If for some reason you're never going to crash the rig, here's the other thing that's going to happen. That build right there is going to be 400-ish grams. I have issues with the Acrobat Duo durability at 260 grams. So at 400 grams, not only is it going to throw the battery on every crash, but I think it's going to break an arm on every crash too. Obviously not every crash, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that it could. I mean, the frame will handle it. It's not going to fly good. It's going to be like a cinematic only kind of rig. But if that's what you're looking for, it's the fact that it has the clean dirty setup. You could arguably say it's going to be the smoothest cinematic rig that you could possibly build on 3-inch props. And you can get CiottiFPV ducts for it. He does have specific Acrobat Duo ducts which do fit and they do work really well. Unfortunately, his ducts explode if you bump into anything, so they're just keep that in mind. They function as a thrust enhancement device, not as a device that's going to let you bump into anything, like most of the other Cinewhoops. Most Cinewhoops, the ducts are strong enough that you can bump into shit and you'll be okay. But with the CiottiFPV ducts, every time I've ever even like remotely bumped into something, the duct has just completely exploded. One of them even blew up when I landed at one point. So yeah, that's probably more info than you thought you could ever imagine about that setup. Yeah, it would be a cinematic only, probably like 5-6 minute runtime, interesting rig. That would be a cool build. Just don't crash it. Oh my god, don't crash it. Jason Crabtree says, what size standoff for a run cam hybrid? It's for a Ripsqueak, 28 millimeters, Jason. And I get them from Pyro Drone. I think 28 mils is hard to find. You could just do 30. Those are everywhere. But yeah, 28 minimum. Ripper FPV in the house. Remy Tim says, oh, Tweet FPV is in the house. What's up, Dan? Tweet FPV, CiottiFPV said I was his favorite mod. That's all you missed. Tristan Stoneman says, how's it going? I still can't get my VTX unlocked on my tiny pusher. So frustrating. Tristan, shoot Nick Burns Nick Burns has a review of the tiny pusher, and this is Nick's tiny pusher. And yeah, I didn't have to do anything to the VTX when it came, so I've already told you the all of the ways that I know that VTXs get stuck in pit mode. Maybe find Nick's review video of this and drop a comment and tag him in the comment. And if he doesn't get back to you, let me know, because I talked to him on Facebook. Let me just do this instead. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to shoot him a message on Facebook and just say, hey, did you have to do anything weird to that VTX in the tiny pusher? Hell, maybe he says it in the review video. Yeah, definitely check out his review video. He might even say in there if he had to do anything, because his review videos are amazing. But I am going to shoot him a message for you. VTX out of pit mode. Got a guy asking me in chat about his. He just received. All right, I won't remember to message you, but if you remember to message me, there's a chance I'll get back to you. Sorry, I get 30, 40 messages a day from different folks. I have not figured out a way to really keep everything straight between 2-3 hours of streaming a day and lots of messages and all that fun stuff. And the messages come in like 6 different places, so it's tough. Discord being the 7th place, that's sort of why it's been so hard for me to get Discord into any kind of rotation. But I promise you guys I'm trying my best to be more active on the Discord, but the Discord channel is mainly for you guys to have a spot to really hang out and share pictures and videos and war stories. Leadfingers says, how do you feel about the ESC flight controller combos? Thinking about using one on a fly and snap 3D printed toothpick. Typically, I'm not the biggest fan of like when they sell an ESC with a flight controller. Usually, like one or the other has something that I don't like about it. What is nice is usually you don't have to. There's no guesswork with like having to find a cable that has the right pinout. So it is a little bit easier to build with them, but I have a pretty specific set of things that I'm looking for in an ESC and in a flight controller, and I've only found like 1 or 2 of those that I have linked in the description that tick all those boxes. So yeah, not for me, but when other people do it, I don't look down my nose at them or anything like that. What you absolutely want to stay away from, though, is when they put pins in between the flight controller and the ESC. That is a guaranteed way of making a flight controller and ESC that it's going to blow up immediately. So yeah, any flight controllers or ESCs with pins, at this point, any manufacturers that are doing that, I don't buy anything from that manufacturer, because in 2021, by making an ESC and a flight controller that are pinned together, it basically shows that as a company, you either don't have any idea what you're doing, or you don't give a shit about, or you're specifically selling something that's going to fail so that you can sell replacement parts. So yeah, yeah. There's a company who continued to pin their ESCs and flight controllers that I have not bought from in 4 years. What else we got here? I think they've finally stopped, though. Pixel Pusher says, Emu does all that stuff like anti-gravity. Well, that's good to hear. That's really good to hear. I was hoping that they did, because I thought that they picked a recent enough Betaflight to grab, that Betaflight had already added all those things. So that's really, really, really good. I really wish there was. I just wish there was a way for Emu Flight to get RPM filtering going. I've never had a type of filtering blow me away like RPM filtering, and I've used the Emu Flight, I believe, is using a version of the Kalman filters. I have experience with them. They were nothing special. I've even tried Emu, and the filtering didn't seem like it was anything special to me. So, yeah, I'm still not convinced. I'm still not quite convinced enough to put the time in that it would take to switch over to Emu Flight. Although, I don't know, Joshua was just talking about how he saw one of the Betaflight developers suggesting that they maybe make Betaflight harder to port, just sort of making the Emu Flight guys' jobs a little bit harder. And Joshua said he was kind of disappointed in that, and I'm of the same mind. That's just not how open source works. I also 100% agree with Joshua when he says that, like, it might be because there was a bad taste left in the Betaflight devs' mouths from the Butterflight guys, who were pretty awful. So yeah, on one hand, it's like I can maybe understand where that person is coming from, but I don't know, just a little disappointing to hear something like that. That's not a, I don't know. I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I wish I hadn't heard about it. But that is to say that hearing that made me a little bit closer to maybe going down the Emu Flight path. If Emu Flight ever does get RPM filters going, I'm all about it. I will absolutely jump on the bandwagon with all the rest of you folks, and I'll be all over it. But until that happens, I just don't know. I just don't know. From a filtering standpoint, I just don't understand how not having the exact RPM that the motor is at, how you're ever going to match that performance. I could just never, ever, ever drive a car without a tachometer as accurately as a car with a tachometer, which is essentially what everybody other than Betaflight is doing. But without 4 tachometers, right? If our cars required 4 tachometers, then to have to shift well, I guess we can't bring a gearbox into the equation. It's not a great analogy anyway, but I think it gets the job done to get the point across to you guys. Seth Inman says, do you build a quad on this stream? I was supposed to, Seth, but I got into answering the questions in the chat, and I've lost track of time, and it's been an hour and 45 minutes. Jesus. And I'm still answering questions from 10 o'clock. WA with a $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. Thanks for sharing. I also wonder about recovery in difficult situation, so thanks for that too. You're certainly welcome, my man. Corollas Batros with a $4.90. Really? I was reading that, YouTube. Don't do the thing and take it away. Corollas, thank you for $4.99. Since you like cars, what do you think of my future build? 2018 370 Nismo body, 2JZ, twin 68s, and a sequential. Jesus, 120 shot of nitrous. I mean, yeah, that's a good way to spend. What are you gonna have in that build? You're probably gonna have about $100,000 in that, aren't you? Sequentials are what, 10 grand? I don't know that specific sequential. I mean, that's gonna be a goddamn animal. Does the 2J fit properly in a 370? I don't see why it wouldn't. That's a good way to get that, to get, in my opinion, one of the worst sounding engines ever built out of your car. I like that. I like that part of the build. If you like the way that the... I used to know the engine code of the VQ. If you do like the way the VQ sounds, then ignore me. I don't. Although Sasha's VQ sounds good. Sasha from I forget Sasha's. I'm sure you know Sasha if you're into 370Zs. That sounds like a hell of a build. What are you doing with it? Is that a half-mile build or a drift build? That would be a pretty ridiculous drift build. Be a pretty high-level drift build. Guillermo says something. Go-Kart Mozart says we have the same rule of pick 2 of 3 in construction. I'm gonna start working on this so that the title of this is not a lie, and I'm gonna read the chat. I can't believe it's been an hour and 45 minutes. We're at a point now where in this build. Okay, so the only thing you guys missed is I put a capacitor on last night in the middle of the night. I am going to get back to the chat, but I'm going to try to read the chat in between building and talk about answers while I build. Drone Man is here. Big Taters says, does Kristen have her own drone setup? She does not, Big Taters. She will at some point, though. She expressed interest in the textbook She claims she's gonna read through it and do her own series of live streams.
You
should. Raphael says, did you do beta flight setup already on the Moongoat? I did not, Raphael. Once we get it finished, we will do that for sure. Chris Croft says, DisplayPort is there in beta flight now, but not documented, so nobody's using it. Seth says, what goggles do you run right now? HD3s, Seth. I am a basic bitch. What can I say? Dauntless says, I just know that your HD3s actually don't have the full resolution that Sharkbite can output, which is a massive bummer, but it still probably look noticeably better than analog. We'll find out. Chris, give me a question I can talk about while I build. Well, won't talk about the dumb only two-way button they use, so you have to go through all your channels to get from channel 1 to 2. Oh, no. Frank says, Shendrone Squirt version 2.1 3rd gen, not Gen 1. It's a solid base plate. Be that good or bad, remember, it is a cinematic quad. Yeah, very, very true. I would just rather build a Cinesplore. Shout out to Bob at FPV Cycle. Abraham says, I love my Fat Shark's been rocking Dom V2s for years. Upgrade DJI, I think I gotta. Let us know how it goes. 661 says, look at the flight controller on the Cine 8. All right. Flight controller on the Cine 8. What's the Cine 8? Is that something that we've been looking at? Happy Model Cine 8. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the flight controller. Looks like an AIO. Crazy Bee F4. Why are they not putting an F? I guess because it's so small. F4 with a 12 amp, with 12 amp MOSFETs, I should say. Is there something? What am I looking for? 661. What's it looks like a fairly straightforward AIO to me. Looks like there's a buzzer connected to it. It does have motor plugs. That's cool. I like that. Is it maybe that's what you were? It's a 12 amp with motor plugs. Is that maybe what you're referring to? Is that like a? I thought the. No, that's not like a unique thing. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything different about it. Maybe we were talking about something at the moment. Tag me again. Let me know what why I was looking at that. William Barlow says, Albert Kim just did a build video on it today. You can check it out. Very cool. Mike said, I'm just going to call you Mike from now on because I'm not going to remember that your last name is Bamiller. What do you think about the Shocker as a sub 255-inch frame? You know, I don't know a thing about the Catalyst Machine Works frames because they classically they're kind of heavy and they're also like so sort of confused. Like there's just a lot of parts in there, a lot of parts and pieces. So I just don't know anything about them. But I believe Joshua maybe has a video, so check out. I think Joshua, I'm pretty sure he has a video on that 4-inch frame. Check it out. From what I remember, he liked it, I think. Johnny J says the Happy Model Cine 8 builds without camera and mount 73.3 grams. Okay, so that it's same as that Beta FPV 85. Odysseus, I'll check out the motor limiting in Beta Flight later. Awesome. JFPV saying, hey, Frank says, I think the unannounced DJI product is a DJI quad for FPV. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it's anything else. Suspect it will support 2.4 gigahertz for OcuSync, same video download used by Mavic Phantom at 1080p. I thought OcuSync was laggy, but maybe that's the magic of it. Maybe they figured something out. I could totally be wrong because I don't know shit about DJI. I don't have any of their products. Not by choice, just by budget. Corolla says, I've got the Oh My God LiPo pad. I'm also running 2 straps across the 1300 mAh 4S. How? How did you get a second battery strap through there? That's pretty cool. B-Man in the house. Tristan says, will do. Thanks. You're welcome. Toxic FPV says, catching back up on the stream with 1.5 speed. That must be horrifying. I'm going to start talking in a lower pitch voice so that my voice doesn't sound so weird in 1.5 or double speed for you guys. I can't do that. Oh, it just did the thing. It just did the thing. Drone Man, this looks like a question that I can maybe talk through while building. Oh, Toxic FPV says that Happy Model Cine 8 is a solderless build. Great for a newbie. Okay. TPU is super soft, which would mean, yeah, that's why it's light. Yeah. Drone Man says, does anybody know anything about the Hack RC F720? Damn it, I can't talk through this because I don't really know anything about it. If so, where's the video up pad labeled? Drone Man, get in touch with whoever you bought it from. It's their responsibility to tell you stuff like that, man. Don't let these don't let these manufacturers get away with that shit. If they don't have simple stuff like that on their website, bug them. That's nonsense. Don't feel bad bugging them. B-Man says GepRC and their pins. Oh my god, is GepRC still doing pins? I thought it was just HGLRC. Chris Croft says, isn't Betaflight a fork of Clean Flight forked from something else? I think so, Chris. I think so, yeah. I don't really know. I'm not super up on the history, though. I got into the hobby a lot later than most folks. Corolla says, I'm choosing the 2018 370Z Nismo body because it's 3 inches bigger. No shit. As in frame-wise from each side, it's going to be a daily /drag/drift build. Doing the math, it's going to be around 75 grand. Ooh, you did the math, you stupid bastard. Why would you do that? You never do the math, Carlos. You know that. Oh man, Clara, you just take guesses at the math, and then but there's always like there's always like, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was only like 10 grand. Clara FPV says, evening, CiottiFPV, your thoughts on 22.8 motors. There's something I can talk about. All right, here we go. Moving the mic over. 2208 motors. So great for racers, not so great for freestyle, in my opinion. Basically, the easy button for understanding motor sizes, I should say, is that as you make the stator taller, the area in the throttle range where that motor is going to feel best and be most accurate via throttle resolution goes up. So as the motor gets taller, the motor works better at higher throttle ranges. So a 2208, for example, is going to work really good at high throttle because 8 millimeters is very, very tall for the stator height. So if you find yourself, one of the easiest things to do is to put go into your OSD settings and put your throttle. That's weird. Put your throttle in the OSD menu. You can literally just have your throttle in the OSD, and you can see what throttle percentage you spend most of your time at. If you fly freestyle, you're going to be shocked at how much time you spend at low to medium throttle. And as such, a 2208 probably is not going to make much sense for you as a freestyle pilot. If you're a freestyle pilot that likes to go fast all the time, it's a different story. And you might really like a 2208. Or if for some reason your builds are extremely heavy, if you've been unable to get the weight of your builds down, and you're up at like 800 or 900 grams, then a 2208 might be a good option, because that 8 millimeters of stator height is going to give an unbelievable amount of horsepower, total horsepower, at the sacrifice of torque, mechanical torque. So essentially, if you're into cars, which I know a lot of us are, a 2208 is going to be a big single turbo Supra where you have to wait for it to make the power until the top of the throttle range. But then when it makes the power, there's going to be a lot of it. Unfortunately, it's going to be kind of hard to control because it's all going to come in one big lump and all hell's going to break loose. That tends to be very fun, but it's not very accurate. It's not very good for, if you're trying to be a better pilot, it's probably not going to be great for you. If you're just trying to have fun, you're probably going to love it because going full throttle and having the rig hurtle up into the sky at 100 miles an hour is funny and fun. But when you're trying to be a better pilot or just produce flight footage that looks good, and you do that, you just spend a lot of time waiting to come down, right? Like that, and that's where my quest for less powerful motors came from. Is I got sick of looking at my flight footage and literally like checking my watch as like half of the flight footage is just me floating down from like 200 feet up from the, half a second blast of throttle that hurtled me into this was back when I was flying high KV 2207s. And it was hysterical. Like it was super fun to have this like absolutely outrageous amount of power. But I didn't like the way that the footage looked. It wasn't interesting to watch. It was like almost frustrating to watch. So different strokes for different folks, of course. But 2208s are not for me. I would really, if you're going to go that route, I would definitely figure out with your flying style where you spend the most of your time on the throttle. And then if you're spending a lot of time mid to low throttle, that means a 2306 is going to be a better choice. If you're spending a lot of time in the high throttle, 2207 or a 2208 are going to be a good choice. Oh, look at that. That's going to fit nice. I was worried about that. Cool. I still do have a little bit of a kerfuffle going on right here with these wires coming through. What I could do is just get this elevated a little bit. Actually, let me push these over to the other side. Maybe that's all they needed. No, that's going to push down on that. What if I move this? Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. All I had to do is move that over. Okay, so that's going to mount exactly like that, and that way it's not touching this wire. Okay, cool. So let's get this VHB'd down. And here we go. YouTube did the thing, scrolling back up. Beep, 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 beep. Where was I in the chat? Oh, here I was. Obi's Quad says his Shocker 4-inch is his most efficient rig. Beta FPV 1806 2550s. It does acro and gets 6 to 7 minutes on a 4S 850. So there you go. A big thumbs up from Obese Quads on the Shocker 4-inch. Thanks for that, brother. T-Bird FPV says, I'm here now so the craziness can begin. Not much craziness left. My voice is about shot. I guess I shouldn't have streamed for 2 hours before Joshua. Maybe that beat my voice to death. Claire, you are certainly welcome. KH says, have you seen Dave C's new project? I have not. It's a nano long range, and it uses one 18650 cell. He says that it works better than expected. That's pretty cool. Eric Allen says, where did you say you got those XT60s? Pyro Drone. Pyro Drone. Surge, get back to me. I want to be an affiliate. My people love all your stuff, and I want to make 3 to 6% of their purchases so I can eat. On the pre-stream, which will be available over on my Patreon channel, because that's how I do that. On the pre-stream, I went into my CiottiFPV affiliate login thing, and I was shocked at how much the number had jumped up. So thank you, boys and girls. Thank you for actually using my affiliate links. That is super cool. They've never really it's always just been like $50, $51, $52. But yeah, there was more than that in there now. So it's working. You guys are doing it, and it's working. It's one of the quickest and easiest ways that you can support me for free. And yeah, man, I super appreciate that from you wonderful people. Keep doing it if you don't mind. Like I always say, there's nothing stopping you from going to Ciotti. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, for the record, but I guess I'll just keep saying it until I get in trouble. If you there's nothing stopping you from going to CiottiFPV.com right now and clicking all the affiliate link buttons, which will drop my affiliate link info into your shopping carts, and it'll just stay there until you do the next order. I do that, like whenever somebody pimps out their affiliate links, I always hit it right away because I know that there's no way that I'm going to remember to hit it. So yeah, you could do that if you wanted to, or not. It's all good. I was really hoping to mount this VTX on the other side so that I could keep the VTX video wire away from the battery lead here, but it didn't work out that way, and well, here I am. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore it, and maybe we'll be fine. We should be fine. I'm using a good quality ESC. I'm using a good quality VTX. I'm using a, yeah. Should be okay, but I wish I was able to do it the other way. If possible, do it the other way. Keep the VTX as far, I mean, always keep the VTX as far away from the battery leads as possible on your analog setups. I can't believe I have to make that distinction now. What a world we live in. Alright, so I've got the rear of the VTX VHB down, so it's not going to go anywhere. And then the middle and the front of the VTX I'm going to hold with a zip tie through there. And I'm actually going to feed that through right now, because it's going to push this out of the way. Oh, look at that. I have one big purple fella just waiting to be used. Okay. Tommy put a bunch of slots in the back of this thing, and they make running zip ties so much nicer. I really like what he did with the little with all these cuts that he put in the back of this thing. It's a real, it's, there are things in frames designed by certain pilots where, like, I can tell, I can sort of tell a lot about a pilot when they come out with their signature frame in a way, which is always kind of interesting. And yeah, Tommy, he did a lot of things right with this frame. I'm really impressed with this. I really dig it. I feel like this is gonna fall off. I mean, it's just an LED though, so whatever. Where was I? I was going through there, right? That's better. Much, much, much better. Okay, so that's through there. The other thing that I always put in that little bundle is the receiver. So let's get that figured out here. The Immortal T is all farged up in the game. There we go. Okay, so let me put, I do want to put another rotation or two on this, just so that this cable is nice and, oh farts, I'm going the wrong direction. Going the wrong direction, that's better. All right, what's up, chat? What are you guys doing? Jason Crabtree says, what size standoffs for a run cam hybrid on a Rip Squeak? Still 28 millimeters, Jason. You must not have been here when I answered it before. Yeah, 28 mil. You can do 30s, but yeah, 28 mil is the smallest that you can do. All right, yeah, so this is how we want this. By we, I mean I. And yeah, that's a good spot for it. That little zip tie can just kind of come up and over here. And good, good, good. Let's throw a little VHB on there and we will drop that down. Hey! Alright. Mike says, hey, have you seen Tommy's video? I have. I most certainly have. And one of my claims to fame in FPV is that I was arguably the first, outside of Tommy's little team that he's got internally, to do some prototype crash testing on the V1 Acrobrat. So it's really cool to see. He's pretty good about doing crash testing, and yeah, it's always good to see him continuing to do that. Tommy is a guy that cares about quality over pretty much all else, which I always really appreciate. I want that to go like that. And then this Immortal T is going to loop around the outside here, I think. Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't know where to go with the Immortal T. I got to get the Immortal T under this, and I wish I'd remembered that and run it through the one of these slots, but I didn't. And now I have to pay for it. Shit, and this LED thing is completely in the way of the way that this antenna is going to want to mount. God damn it. This LED thing is going to have to go. I finally found a spot to use this fancy stupid little LED panel. I keep saying LCD for some reason. That's fine. That's fine. once I have that out of the way, this will mount up with no problem. So let's get this guy pulled down. T-Bird, whether that's what she said. Dauntless says, are those... And those slows are 20 by 20 and 30 by 30 mount. Yes, these slots. Yeah, these slots are both 20 by 20 and 30 by 30. I didn't even realize he did 30 by 30 on the back. He did. That's pretty cool. That's really smart. So there we go. That's how I do my little what amounts to a communication package VTX, and don't crank this zip tie on here. There's really no need to if you're gonna do this. This is also sort of like the lightest way that I've found to really securely mount your VTX and receiver, and then this is an E-Rod rear TPU printed piece, and it's got these cool little ears that I'm just trying to get flattened out here. It's got these little ears for zip ties to hold an Immortal T under the bottom like that. Well, I guess that's not too bad with that LED panel there, but yeah, see, no, I want this Immortal T to really sit down on there. I don't want it to be all propped up like that. So yeah, we got that in there. All I really need to do is find a cable that's going to go from the flight controller to the ESC. That's pretty easy. I won't make you guys suffer through that. And then I think I'm just going to... I don't think I'm actually going to do LED race wires yet. I think I'm just going to zap these motors on, which, I mean, soldering motors up is relatively boring, all things considered. So let me throw these. Let me throw the front of the frame together here, and yeah, it'll look a lot more like a quad that is sort of done, which it pretty much is. Like, this is at like 90% doneness, believe it or not, even though it might not look like it. It actually is. And I was holding the arms up to the bottom like a complete goober. Where are the longer arm screws? There they are. All right, so we've got one Moongoat arm. And oh, come on, just go through there. Don't fight me, please. Don't fight. Be cool. Screw. Go through the arm. Nope, it's not gonna. It's gonna thread the whole way. Double A says it was Tommy and Corey, right? That made this Moongoat frame. Yep, Double A. This is their collaboration. Tristan says, do you think I will see a big difference upgrading my AKK receiver for a Fox ear? I'm assuming that you meant AKK VTX, and I doubt it. I have not heard great things about Fox ear VTXs. I can almost guarantee you that Foxeer is not making that VTX, and AKK is one of the companies that makes the majority of the they white label a lot of VTXs. So there's a really good chance that Foxeer VTX is made by AKK. My standpoint on VTXs is that there's absolutely no reason to get anything other than Immersion RC or TBS. They have VTXs that are very inexpensive, like these Tramps that I run for $30, and they just demolish all the other stuff. all the other VTXs look a lot fancier and talk a lot more shit and throw a lot more numbers at you. But then when you use them, they just suck. So yeah, VTXs are not something. Your whole video system is also not a place where you want to cheap out. If anything, that's a place where you want to spend more money. Because your ability to see will make you a lot better pilot. Like, I should say a better ability to see, and I'm putting this on upside down, will make you a much better pilot and, potentially keep you from killing people, since 5-inch rigs are kind of nuts. But yeah, I would, I'm very... Rush Tank, I've heard really good things about their VTXs. I use them in both of the Cinexplore builds, and they've been fine. They're just a newer company. They're newer on the scene, so they haven't been around long enough for, enough people to say, yes, they're bulletproof for me quite yet. But they're getting there. I can't remember ever hearing anything bad about a Rush Tank VTX, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, they're probably pretty damn good. But I play it safe and run these $30 Immersion RC Tramps, and they've been absolutely amazing for the 2+ years that I've been running them. And for $30, it's kind of like, I just can't find a reason to not run them, sort of thing, you know? Mike says, I think the 350 MAH will be too small. It depends. Yeah, 350 MAH cells typically are a little bit too are hit this point of like diminishing returns potentially, but I haven't tested them on 6S. There are a lot of advantages to 6S. On micros, I think there are a lot less advantages, but what's interesting is that with the battery that small, maybe the advantages of 6S will shine through, is what I'm wondering, and become a little bit more evident, basically. So we'll see. I'm very interested in that in a 350 mAh 6S battery. I'm going to stick with 4S. 4S doesn't... Tommy is... there's a big component of efficiency that Tommy is trying to get into that build, which makes a lot of sense, because sub 255-inch as a freestyle rig doesn't really make any sense. It only really makes sense for a long-range rig, so it totally stands to reason that Tommy spends a lot of time and effort on that to get that sort of dialed in, because that's gonna, that's really the intended market for sub 250 5-inch. It really doesn't make any sense as a freestyle rig. It's gonna have no throw. You're just gonna spend a lot of time sort of waiting to come down from the clouds. As a freestyle rig, that his frame is gonna be perfect on 4-inch props. Oh my god, I cannot wait to give that a shot, because the prototype frame, Kebab's prototype frame that I was flying with the 4-inch props was really, really good, and really impressed me. It's the other reason I don't like vertical carbon. It's so fucking fiddly. There it is. So there you guys go. I think I'm gonna leave it there for the night, because it is 12:30 and my voice is shot. I think I've streamed for like 4.5, 5 hours now today total. But there you go. It looks a lot more like a Moongoat. Let me zoom you guys out a little bit. And I'm probably going to solder the motors on and get this flight controller to ESC cable done tomorrow during the day, not while streaming, just because it's boring. And then, yeah, we will do a stream, though, to put the finishing touches on it and do the Betaflight setup. But that is 90-ish% done. And that makes me feel good. In the chat, we've got Frank saying, why not put the T antenna on top of the frame? The ends stick out the same. I always put it as far away from the prop line as humanly possible. If you put the Immortal T up here, it's oh, come on, OBS. Yeah, if you put it up there, it's typically going to be relatively even. Actually, it would be above. It would be above the prop line, so it would just suck it right in. Yeah, I don't love this as a mounting location for the Immortal T, because you can see, like, it's already, like, it's close to the prop line as it is, right? Like, the prop line is at the top of the motor bell there. Like, it's only a couple millimeters away. What saves it is the fact that the wind is pushing it down from the propellers. But yeah, I don't really love this as an Immortal T location, but this is definitely the most durable Immortal T location that I've been able to find. So this is where I keep mounting it. I really look forward to Ghost using the tiny little Immortal T's. They'll be so much in that same spot. They will be so much more durable. I can't wait. Where am I at? Tristan says heat set. Headset maybe? Headset module, I mean. Goggle receiver module. I don't know if I've heard anything about the Foxeer goggle module. Lots of reviews, though. Lots and lots of reviews of the goggle module. So, I Tristan, I would just hammer the reviews and just... you should be able to watch 2 or 3 reviews and get some sort of a consensus. Eric Allen says, looking good. Thanks, brother. Carollo says, it's been 25 minutes since I've started to change the motor the motor on the Acrobat Duo. And I'm not even done yet. It's okay, Carlos. It's don't gotta be fast with building, man. I'm an example of that. It'll get done. It's just about the journey, man. It's about the journey. Frank says not on the top plate, but on top of the bottom plate. There's standoffs in the way. I mean that's where I've got the that's where I sort of have everything. There's sort of just like everything in the way. There's the TPU printed piece that's in the way. There's a standoff in the middle, and there's also my my VTX that's in the way. Yeah, too much stuff. Too much stuff. Looked like there was room on top of the bottom plate and the zip tie holes. Nah, there's actually there's a standoff dead center. So I would have to offset it, and then it would touch the motor bells. Then your LEDs wouldn't matter, or why not under the bottom plate, in the middle of the bottom plate. The main reason being, I always try to get it as far back as possible, so that when the rig is stood up and flying, which it normally is in flight, the antenna is as high as possible. I really wish I could get it even farther off of here. But yeah, I always try to have it be the farthest back, highest up sort of point. Yeah, and you also want to keep it as far away from carbon as possible. Apparently, that's really important to antennas. Kema FPV says, what do you think about the iFlight Beast 55 amp ESC flight controller AIO? Kurna, I am not a fan of the AIOs. Having to replace everything when anything fails is a complete nightmare to me. And also having all of the noisy components that are involved in the ESC on the same exact PCB as things like all of your OSD and your video lines, it's just not the best idea. It looks like that's where flight controllers are going, and I'm not happy about that. The other issue is that that shape board doesn't make sense in these builds. Like the center canopy section, there's really no reason for it to not be narrow. For us to now be putting time into these components that are wide, that's forcing us to widen this, is not good for performance. It just doesn't make any sense. Like this center canopy, we want it to be as narrow as possible because the camera is very narrow, and then we're just putting, the VTX and the receivers that we typically put in the bag, they're very narrow too. So it kind of sucks for frame designers. Yeah. And it doesn't really make builds any easier because the only thing it eliminates is a cable that just plugs in. So yeah, I really hope that this obsession with the AIOs kind of chills out, because if everything becomes AIO, I don't love that. I think that we're going to take a step backwards in a lot of ways. But people keep thinking that AIOs are easier to build, so that will drive AIOs to be more and more and more important. I would rather see lightweight 20x20 stacks. They make much more sense to me from a frame design and from a sort of a holistic standpoint of the entire build and like what we're building. But nobody asks me for my opinion. Nobody in the industry, at least. Free Range Chicken says, thanks for a great stream. You are certainly welcome. Dauntless says, also offset anything on the outside of a quad to make it asymmetrical is gross. One reason I hate the look of Heroes. Calling it gross is perfect. T-Bird says, antenna is the problem with tracer. You have two. I didn't realize that was all tracers. I thought there was just like a specific tracer that used two. That's annoying. Kerma says, Drain Man used an adapter to make it traditional 30x30. Yeah, I mean, that makes some sense, but I also don't like 30x30. 30x30 is even worse, and it's even bigger. Even 5-inch frames now. 5-inch frames are now being shrunken down so much that some of them literally don't allow you to do 30x30 anymore. The ones that do, a lot of times, like the 30x30 stuff will hang out over, like outside of the carbon. And that's scary, man. That's just asking for a piece of Scraggle to come in there and break the side of that off or rip wires off that ESC that's got them hanging out in no man's land. So yeah, I'm I don't know, 20x20 kind of exploded and I was really excited, but then it seemed to sort of taper off, and now this 26.5x26.5 thing is just like all anybody's talking about it, and I'm yeah, I don't like it, but I'm just one person with the voice that's only this big, so I'll keep screaming as loud as I can in hopes that sanity prevails, but we'll see. What's the quote from It's Always Sunny? Is it sanity will prevail? It's not. It is. Sanity will prevail. Chris Croft says, I heard that about going to AAOs when 4-in-1 ESCs came out, and now that's the only thing most people use. And Kerma says just says you. Richard says, are PDBs and individual ESCs completely phased out now for the 4-in-1 ESCs? Pretty much. I mean, like, I think Ladrib is still... he's not using PDBs. If you're going to use individual ESCs, though, you should use a PDB. And there are still people that swear by individual ESCs. I think it's crazy. I'm never, ever, ever going to mount a piece of electronics that if hit by... like, in the path of... a couple millimeters away from a propeller, that if the propeller hits it, there's a good chance it's going to blow it up. Yeah, the individual ESC thing is insane to me. But if you're never going to crash or hit Scraggle, it might be okay. Although even in that case, it does really negative things for flight performance, because you're spreading the weight outwards where we want to centralize the weight. So yeah, there's a long list of negatives to individual ESCs, and a very short list of positives. But if you're gonna do them, I really think you should use a PDB, because otherwise you're connecting a shitload of really thick wires to the flight controller. Without a PDB, this is, right? You're hooking up 12, 24 gauge, or whatever, it depends on the motor, wires, and 2 big-ass battery leads to the same plane that your gyro is on. So all of those wires hooking up to the flight controller are going to do a really good job hard mounting that flight controller, and that has a really negative effect on flight performance, because you want your flight controller to be as soft mounted as possible so it can just float and absorb some of the vibrations coming from the rig. So whereas running a PDB, you run all those wires into the PDB, and then you just run 30 gauge up to the flight controller, similar to the way that a 4-in-1 ESC works. So yeah, if you're gonna do individuals, you should do a PDB. But I wouldn't recommend individuals. 4-in-1s are so good. It's scary. Oh, Kramer says your voice definitely matters. Thanks, brother. It matters to you guys, but unfortunately you guys don't make motors or quads or any of the components that we run. Metal says, I think Cricket was still using individuals until his signature stack came out. And he's probably the only one harder on his rigs than you. Nah, there's plenty of people that crash real hard metal. Go-Kart Mozart, what's up, brother? A lot of flight controllers have the PDB built in, so individual ESCs can make a lower build profile. Very true. But again, yeah, hooking all those wires up to the same electrical component where your gyro lives is, in my opinion, and in my experience, because I've done it before, a really bad idea for flight performance, and it really... It basically leaves you with a rig that you have to kind of cripple the tune and cripple the filtering, because you're just getting so many more vibrations into that physical gyro that something's got to give. So every rig that I've ever built that has that setup, I have not been able to PID tune for shit. I've had to either stick with the stock sloppy ass tune, or even in some cases back the tune off. And I don't like to do that. I like to fly rigs that are really dialed in, where I can move the PID tune up to get even better than stock performance. Doc Murdoch still prefers individual ESCs on his 5-inch quads. On smaller rigs, it's just not practical, nor is it available. There used to be little tiny individual ESCs like the ones Well, it's gone. Yeah, there used to be a little tiny 6 amp and 10 amp and 15 amp ESCs, but they're gone. Nobody's doing micro builds with individuals anymore. Thank God, because it's a nightmare. That's what the Baby Hawk had. So my first year of building was building micro 2.3 inch propeller rigs with individuals. It was an absolute nightmare. Last comment of the night, Carolo says, but I'll be making frames soon. My CNC gets delivered in a couple weeks. Very, very cool. Thanks for hanging. 12:40. All right. Time for a nap. Here's some flying. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll do something simple. Tuesday is kind of sort of my day off, but I'll do maybe like a video game stream. If you're on PS4, I am on there under CiottiFPV, and I've been really enjoying playing the game SnowRunner. And when I play it, I set a co-op room up that's open, so you can just jump on in. Sometimes I have a microphone, sometimes I have a stream going, sometimes not. Whatever. Maybe I'll see you in there. I also play Gran Turismo Sport over there. But it's a little bit harder to play multiplayer there. Thanks for hanging. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Here comes some flying from 2018 on Christmas with Brad. Come on. Go. There it is. Oh, hey, that's an older edit. Here's a, hold on. Is this an actual edit, or, oh God, why would it do that? Well, this isn't edited, but whatever. Here you guys go. Flying in Trenton at some building. No iRacing, RC Ritter. I don't have any that shit's all way outside of my budget. I can barely afford a little thumbstick controller. Be good, guys. Here's some flying from a long time ago. If I was flying like crap, it's because it was a long time ago. Hey, see you tomorrow. This goes here. This goes here. I click this. For some reason, it opens up over there. Here, over here, over here. Yep. There's some music. Here's some flying. I'll see you tomorrow. Why is the audio like that? Hopefully the audio is not like that for you guys too. Goodbye.
All I want is spinning round, yeah, round, yeah. Found you sitting all alone, looking down your phone. No, yeah, found you sitting back. Spotlight, that all I want is spinning round, yeah. Yeah, found you sitting all alone, looking down your phone. No, yeah, found you sitting back. Spotlight, flowers. That all I want is yeah, found you sitting all alone, looking down your phone. No, yeah, found you sitting back. Spotlight, flowers. That all I want is down your phone. No, no, no. Yeah, found you. That spotlight, flowers. That all I want is. That all I want is